And what's the largest obstacle you as a coach have had to face?
Oh my gosh, so many challenges. I think every day's a challenge. I think the toughest challenge or the largest one for me to is it's twofold. It's the same thing. It's the interaction with the kids. I really, really miss the kids. I miss being with them on the field. I miss just being on campus with them. I think the interaction piece, it just kind of feels like we're in a holding pattern. I came into the office and the calendars were still in March 2020. So I think the biggest challenge was easy to adjust at first, and now it's a little bit more long-term, isn't really. So, but biggest thing's been the kids. Miss them, miss the interaction with them, and I'm used to being on the field right now, so that's been tough.
Yeah, so, we were just talking about that. You said you're used to being on the field. Obviously, everyone knows that the 2020 season has been postponed. What was kind of your team's reaction to that news? Did they kind of expect it? Was it still incredibly shocking to them? How did they really take that information?
I think we have 31 women, and I think they each took it depending on where they were for that period of time. I think for the first years it was like, oh no, this again, having been seniors in high school. I think for our seniors, it was something, like, what now? Now what do we do? Because, a lot of them have plans, academic driven, they have a lot of things happening in that spring semester of 2021. I think for the kids in general, we talked about it. We thought it was a possibility. We kind of kept that really back there. We're really hopeful, really positive. So I think for each of them, it depends on where they were. I think it was something that, when it did happen, I shared with them. We wanted them to know, obviously, so that they could plan and just digest it and feel their feelings. I mean, that's something I've said to them all along. Just feel your feelings, good, bad, indifferent, somewhere in between. It's okay to feel your feelings. So yeah, disappointment, huge disappointment, no question. But especially because it's the 75th year of field hockey here at Millersville. That's a massive milestone. And they're so proud. Our seniors have been through so much. They're so proud to represent Millersville, and, to not have the opportunity or have it adjusted right now, it's tough.
So when this pandemic first started, we saw a lot of students head back to their hometowns. Some stayed at their off-campus apartments, but for the most part, almost everyone has been virtually learning. Now you have freshmen coming in that are starting their first semester, a lot of them mostly online. How have you seen your team really adjust to this new way of learning, and how are they really handling that?
Well, I thought the spring, when we had such a short amount of time to get things rolling, and Millersville's been great, and the academic side of campus, they've done tremendous amount to help. Larry Ernesty and our administration here has been awesome to help the kids just with resources, and honestly, our team has helped each other, how to learn remotely and some tips and tricks. I think we're sadly a little bit more experienced, that we can do it a little bit better, and I think there's an ease to it, but there's an unease to it. I mean, I'm going to be the first to admit that probably some days I'm zoomed out, way too many meetings in a day and way too many meetings in a week. And at first it was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's just one more way to connect, and that's great. But, I miss the interaction of seeing the kids in person. For them, I think they miss that experience of being on campus with their professors, of seeing their friends. I think for the freshmen, the social climate being different, they want to interact, make friends, other teams, non-athletes, just experiencing what it's like to be, a freshman here at Millersville socially. So, lots of miniature adjustments, but I think probably the spring was a dress rehearsal for now.
So how have your players really been proactive in training on their own while they've been at home? What have they been doing to kind of keep up with that activity they need to have?
Well, I think nothing replicates what we do when we're together. So I'm not sure that you can fully expect them to be at a level that we would want them to be. I think in March, April, at the end of the spring semester, they did some great stuff. I think they were involved in the community. They did some videos. They did our kids clinic. I gave them a lot of tasks. And the point of the task was to stay connected. It wasn't to keep them busy by any means, but they really responded well. I mean, the seniors really just went out and they took the lead, and everybody else just followed, So I think just connecting that way was a positive. As far as summer training, you know, they have their plan, their schedule, what they're doing, how they're doing it. You know, we kind of tried to halt that a little bit. Some of them still like to work out. They want to work out. They're athletes. You know, we're not built to be inside. You know, I've probably spent more time inside since March than I ever have. I'm starting to go a little stir crazy. You know, I have a stand-up desk because I'm not built for the indoors. I'm built for outside. So, you know, I think each of them, you know, are doing the things they need to do, good days, bad days, funky days, to stay present with field hockey. And now that we're back into a mode that we're able to have the opportunity to work together, and I get to see them next week, although be it in, you know, different protocols and all those things, excited for that, definitely.
Yeah, so you mentioned staying connected. We've mentioned Zoom meetings. How have you, you know, stayed connected with not only the players, but assistant coaches and just everyone else that you work with on a regular basis? And how have the players managed to not only stay connected with you, but have you seen them staying connected with one another?
Yeah, well, you know, a couple different ways. You know, there's been some events just out in the community and stuff like that that I've got to see them, just hockey events. You know, obviously, although we're not up in full force, there's a lot of things happening. You know, my LLC has hosted some events, so you know, we've gotten to see some kids along the way, and it was really unique when you see them in person. You know, versus seeing them, you know, like this virtually. Although we're real people, you know, it's just really cool. Again, that human interaction. You know, I would host pop-up meetings. I call it Coaches Coffee. I've learned that when I host a Coaches Coffee at 9 a.m., that works for some of our folks in different countries and time zones. When I host Coaches Coffee at 5 o'clock, there's a skinny attendance. If it's after 10:30, I have a full house. So, you know, for me, it's been just some I call them pop-up meetings or Coaches Coffee, which is something we do anyway. And, you know, just to chat and what's going on and connect with them. And, you know, I try to send them text messages or call them. They know I'm a person that I'd rather speak to you or FaceTime. You know, sometimes catch up with different kids on their break at work. Soul, for one, you know, works some different hours. So, you know, just catching up with her on her break and just, she makes me laugh. And, you know, all the kids are out doing different things, but getting to see them in person at some events has been pretty cool too.
How valuable is it going to be to have the opportunity to get the players back together, get them on the field, even if it is in a limited fashion, just get them back to field hockey?
We're so appreciative. I mean, our folks here, I mean, obviously, you know, Miles, Peg, Larry, it's all hands on deck, folks across campus just to make this work. So I think we're just appreciative that we have the opportunity. I'm excited to see the kids. You know, I think it's just finding our new way together. The one thing I can count on, and I sent them a picture this morning, is just like, don't picture it the way you think it should be. It's not going to look that way. And maybe it can turn out being better than we ever thought, you know, and that's the mindset I have going into it with them. You know, we're going to find our footing together a little bit. And I think it'll just be cool. Just the interaction, Amanda, you know, like being around each other, you know, doing what we love. The first time I was able to get out this summer and coach, I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, this feels good. This is normal. This is my world, you know? So I hope they feel the same. We're going to work our way into it. Obviously, we're following all the protocols and the phases. Shout out to our athletic training staff, strength and conditioning. Everyone has just been above and beyond just to help us get to this point. So, you know, it doesn't work unless our kids keep, you know, doing the things that they're supposed to do to make it work too. So I don't know. I think it'll just be fun, right? I think it'll be fun to be out there with them. And, you know, it's funny because we get to play a game. And that game for me has been a career. It's the only job I've ever known. And I miss it. And I miss the kids.
So we've talked about before that you kind of have a day-by-day mentality, season-by-season mentality. Yep. You don't look too far into the future, don't really dwell too much onto the past. 2020 has seemed to be the year of no expectations. Don't set them and, you know, you'll be able to roll with the punches. Has your coaching philosophy kind of helped you deal with the fact that, you know, everything is changing day by day?
You know, yes and no. I will tell you, there's some days I'm a grump, you know, and I'm just like, hey, I'm having a funky day. This is just what it is. But I think like it stays like the first day of practice. It stays like when I knew I'd see the kids in an event. Days like when we were hosting a summer camp, you know, or for example, you know, this Thursday, we should be opening up. You know, so it's those days that I feel like I get a little bit more crabbier than usual. I think happiness is a short memory, especially in our sport. It's a chaotic game at times. It's a problem-solving game at times. And, you know, jokingly, I've shared with some folks and our team that, hey, we're going into the third quarter. Halftime's over. Let's go see how we can attack these next two quarters. So, I think my coaching philosophy is truly about the kids and taking them where they can't take themselves. So I have to take my own advice there. And so it's been a really, really cool self-reflective time. Self-awareness, I think, is something, either you have that or you don't. But I think for me personally, it's, there's good days and bad days, and I'm okay with that. But I think, getting the opportunity to play with the kids, to be out there with them and have them do what they love, I'm looking forward to that. We know this is not going to be forever. It just would be nice to get some glimmer of hope once in a while. And we see that happening.
Yeah, so, we were talking a little bit about the freshman class. How has really the suspension of athletic competition and this, transferring to a online way of learning, how has that really affected them?
Right. I think one of my, concerns for them is that connection piece, that social piece, that also meeting and bonding with their teammates piece, those things are not going to be the same. We haven't even been able to really do, and I know you and I have talked about it, we're going to do like an announcement of our class. We don't even have everyone in the country yet. And that's okay. And you know what? Because we're not going to let that get us down. We're just going to, we're going to roll with the punches, and this is what it's going to look like now. And this is what we're going to do now. So, I hope for the academic piece, it helps them get settled a little bit. I hope this is not the same thing in the spring for them. I hope that they are able to have more in-person connections with their professors, with their classmates, and just get that vibe on campus. We have such a great campus. I was talking with a recruit this morning, and she's like, I love your campus. And, sometimes I'm not sure we always remember that. We have a really awesome campus here at Millersville. So I think we'll see, right? I think, again, for the kids, they're figuring out some things as they go. I certainly want to be a resource here for them. I can tell you the upperclassmen have been awesome with our first years. We presently have 3 that are able to be, here, although commuters, but they're able to, sometimes they have in-person class, sometimes remote. So I think that mix just helps them. But, they've had great attitudes about it. I have to tell you, I think they're better than me. I think my kids are better than me sometimes, and they remind me to be better for them. So we'll see. Time will tell.
So as we look toward a potential spring season, field hockey being played at a different time of year than it usually is, what are some things that, you are excited about or looking forward to, even though it's something different, what is kind of exciting to you about it?
I think you're right. It's like a spring season, right? Playground rules is what I'm calling it. We've adopted, and I believe it's been passed, the 50% rule, meaning that, you get to have a go and a stab at things and, with preserving your eligibility. So, wow, how lucky are the first years, to be quite honest, to look at it that way. I think our coaches group in the PSAC has been incredible. Obviously, our conference office, just the communication coming out of there, just on, asking our input. And, it wasn't a consensus. It wasn't unanimous, but it was a consensus, that, hey, this is the best thing to do and play meaningful games, so I think I'm looking forward to some things that are the same, having a shout at the official, right? Just that game energy and game speed. I don't know how these guys are doing it right now in the pro leagues with the noise and the sound. I watched a video the other day of a Dutch game and Olympic gold, and I was like, man, the sounds, that's a part of our vibe, in the stadium. And so, I think I'm just looking forward to that. And, it's just basically, 2020 check, move on. So this is where we're headed now. And let's go see how great we can be together, and whatever it looks like it's going to look like, we'll figure it out. But just to be back together and compete again, I think the competition piece will be pretty cool.
You guys saw some success last season, made it to the PSAC semifinals. It's the third time since 2013 that you've led your team there. Do you feel that, the extra time could help you improve on things, that extra practice time that you usually don't get in the fall? You have time in the summer, you sometimes practice in the spring. Do you feel that it could be valuable going into, like you said, you're just playing your most important games in the spring?
Yeah, I think we'll make it valuable. I think, again, some time will tell with that. And what have we learned through this? And what are we continuing to learn about ourselves and about our team? And, I think, again, I want to do things with them that are meaningful. I don't want to just fill in the time, and I haven't. I want to be real respectful of them. And I think it's just our approach in general. It's a game we get to play. So let's go and let's be great at it. And whatever the scoreboard says, great. I think I saw, early goings of COVID where, a coach was like, one day they said this could be the last game you play, and heck, weren't they right? and I think there's an appreciation of college athletics is a privilege. Like everybody else, I'm listening to the NCAA podcasts. I'm educating myself. I'm trying to I'm probably doing too much right now, to be quite honest. But I'm keeping myself busy in a way that I can be better for my kids. Just maybe spending a little bit more time on this area for them that I didn't have the time before. Maybe focusing a little bit more on this area with how we would approach things. And also just getting to know them better. I think, so we'll make this time valuable, because that's what we do. We make everything positive. We try to find a way and we solve the problem. We're in the third quarter of COVID. That's the way I'm looking at it.